did you come to Krishna consciousness? Yeah, you out of frustration. You're like, the question is here. This is 521. What did you answer?
521.
Why 521? This is
43rd.
Yes.
People only because they become frustrated in their life in order to pay the bill. How they reply from. In my case, more or less the reason was same. Actually, I was somehow exhausted in my material attempts at that point of time. So my reason is same, but it's not necessary. I think there are people actually who are jnanis Vidya schools. Krishna says that there are four kinds of people.
Yeah, but they're very few.
So, yeah. So
They're very few.
in my case, I was just frustrated.
Yeah, frustration. So mostly in Kali Yuga, it's frustration. We find some frustration. You know, we think that some girl will reciprocate with us with eternal love and care, and and then we find that is not the case, and then we end in frustration. Everything ends in frustration, disappointment, and then we work, we study. It doesn't give us what we really expect, and it never will. Never will. So there is some frustration. Actually, it's inevitable. Even if we are jigyasu, we start inquiring about Krishna, or we are in search of wealth, or we are really looking for the absolute, then it becomes some kind of mixture. Pretty much, mostly there is some mixture of all four to some extent. But yes, mostly still, it is a distress. Yes, distress. And even those materialists who claim that, okay, you have become devotees, but what do they do? What do they do? They don't become devotees, maybe, but they still keep on attempting same things over and over. What Srila Prabhupada says, chewing the chewed. He gives example of the sugar cane. When you squeeze the sugar cane, what is left? No juice. And you throw it on the road, and the cow will come or something, and it will still try to squeeze something and start keep on chewing. But there's nothing there. So I said this kind of attempts for material enjoyment over and over and over is just like chewing already what has been chewed. There's no juice there. There's no juice there. There's no happiness. So inevitably, yes, that is a fact that there has been some frustration to enjoy so-called pleasures of the world. So we don't deny that. We don't deny that. But there is also something that it's known as the higher taste. When once we experience the pleasure of devotional life, then that can never compare to anything of material sort. Never. Absolutely never. I was thinking of some devotees who had been practicing devotional service, and they became somewhat entangled, distracted by some material activities. And I thought also about some very senior devotees. Earlier, they've been practicing, performing so much service. And then actually how they couldn't, and they came back. Inevitably, in some way or another, they started practicing bhakti again. They started practicing bhakti again. So why is that so? Because one can't forget. One can't forget Krishna. You can't forget Krishna. Although one may become even extremely sinful, one can become even whatever it might be doing, and really try to enjoy material world, try to enjoy the material world, try to change this partner and that partner and this and this and this and this. They can never find any happiness because it becomes really just so tasteless. So tasteless. Because any so-called material taste in comparison to this bhakti, there's no way it can really. No way. I mean, this is the subject I can really talk about for hours in which particular cases. Ask them if they're hearing. Hearing is the most important. Seeing now is not, visual is not good.
One camera is on, no? So it's on.
Yeah, that's why I purposely put it.
Hare Krishna, are we audible?
I put the burden on your side.
Okay.
Okay,
Shall we do that?
switch off the video. Oh. So there is frustration. There is inevitably frustration. Because people won't respond. That's one of the major things. People don't respond the way we expect them to respond. No? That's the big one. That's the big one. And then we wonder, how come? How come? Why? Why? Because, why not? Why would anybody respond to us? They expect everybody else to respond to them. And very rarely we have some kind of similar interests, some kind of connecting points of particular whatever interaction that might be there that serves our purposes. And then quite often also it happens that there are no connecting interests. And then it leads to so much, again, frustration, disappointment. Somebody who is supposed to be the most closest, the most intimate, the most trustworthy, it turns not to be so. Let's say you have someone you have your wife, have someone, it's like, sometimes I was just thinking today, I just spoke to one lady from Spain. And nothing, it was just nice realization. But, it was nice interaction. She gave donation, 500 rupees or something, and we gave her Bhagavad Gita. It was nice. But then I just felt a little bit, it's like, anyway, maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe I should save this for Saturday. But it's like but sometimes, when they catch you, they don't let go. When the ladies get hold on you, they don't let go. It's just like a pit bull, It's very strong jaws. He can hang by the branch of a tree for hours and not let go. They're very I don't know what's the pressure, they have their jaw, it's so strong and teeth, when they catch something, they don't let go. It's pretty heavy. So sometimes, like when you get caught by someone, they won't let you go. And they'll just drag you by their full weight wherever, that goes to. It's pretty heavy. So anyway, there is frustration. There is frustration. It's inevitable in this material world. So at least we have an alternative, whereas the materialists don't. They're not interested. They're not looking for Krishna. They think that they can still adjust. Let us keep on adjusting. The whole life it's spent adjusting this, adjusting that, adjusting relationships, adjusting. Of course, they don't want to adjust it really, but kind of considering that we could adjusting, weather, adjusting circumstances, roads, traffic, whatever, adjusting. How many things do you have to adjust to be happy in this world? Is it making any sense? There's no end to it. So that's not happiness. So therefore, if you consider happiness on the bodily level, but just look at your bodies. You don't have to look, what are your bodies. How much trouble everybody experiences through the body, So much trouble. It might be anything. Anything. Harigor, you have some troubles with your body? You don't have to say, but I'm just saying generally. Yes, you have some troubles with your body. Yeah, you do. This morning we discussed one of those. It's like, don't worry, I won't say what it is. I'm not trying to embarrass you. Everybody has some trouble. They're major and they're minor. And then actually, once you focus even on minor, they become major. No, because of major, you didn't notice the minor ones. There's no end. There's no end because it's imperfect. It's imperfect. So then how one wouldn't experience frustration? How would you say here, There is no frustration. There is frustration. Material life is a frustration. It's incompatible situation for the soul. Soul, it's perfect, and whatever we experience here there's absolutely no perfection. It's all imperfect. It's all imperfect. So then how can the soul be happy in an imperfect condition? Perfect soul in imperfect condition. Right? How does that make sense? It's oxymoron. Yeah. Some kind of a moron. It's like moron to think that with oxymoron what can be happy. You know what? Everybody knows what is oxymoron? When you combine two things, yeah.
Two contradictory
Terms. Yeah, like hot ice. Is there anything like hot ice? Or mercy killing? And something that absolutely makes no sense. You combine stuff. That's called oxymoron. Yeah. Anyway. So the answer should be basically, yeah, well, you know, they claim devotees. Yeah, we did become devotees because, yes, we did experience frustration. But you're so dull and so ignorant that you can't even understand that there is frustration. Or you don't want to acknowledge the frustration. Yeah. That's even more unfortunate. What kind of conscious position does that reveal? That means there's no consciousness. I'm suffering, but I don't realize I'm suffering. What kind of state is that? That's pretty bad. Yeah. So yes, we could, you know, or they may say, oh, you didn't, or what this could also refer, it's kind of saying that, oh, you didn't earn enough so you could enjoy the pleasures of life, or you didn't have enough facilities, or you whatever, so you are such a, you know, like disqualified in so many ways personality that your only way of survival is to become a devotee of Krishna. That may be the argument. Whereas, you know, you see us, we are going for a party every day. You know, we have 3-4 girlfriends per day, you know. What is your pitiable condition? We can do it. We are successful. But are they? Are they? Their position's far more miserable than anyone's else. That's what I said the other day. There was one very, very rich person. And he made a statement, the more money I have, the more anxiety I have. So the more relationships you have also, the more trouble you have. Of course, if those relationships are not Krishna-centered, the more trouble you will have. Just like recently there has been some newspaper articles. And that's, I don't know, people are really sick. It's really sickening. It's really sickening. I just sometimes follow, means I just check the headlines of the some Western, you know, news. And first there was one famous actor. His name was Bill Cosby. Cosby Show or whatever. It's like humoristic, some, you know, serial and stuff, whatever is going on. And then he got in trouble because first somebody claimed that, some lady claimed that he raped her without her willing and this and that. And then another lady said, yes, me too also, you know, it's like, and then another lady, and it's like there were like 20 or something of them. And this fellow, you know, they stripped him of all the credits and honors and degrees also, even, you know, everything really, you know, it's just like really he ended up in jail. All his fame just, but my point is, you know, this now after 20 years or something, oh, he raped me, you know, where were you 20 years ago, you know? Is that making any sense? But it's such a junk news. You know, people have a taste for such a rubbish news, you know. And they come up with this, oh, you know, and I have been abused. But why you didn't speak out 20 years ago? Now you're speaking out because, you know, you'll end up, at least your life is so boring and miserable that at least, you know, you end up on some news channel, you know. And that's your, you know, you get some kind of attention like this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then also recently, what was it? There was another very famous founder of one magazine. You know, he had also had, of course, all the girls in that magazine were like, anyway, It's a pornographic magazine. It's erotic magazine, you know. And now also so many girls are coming saying, "Oh, he raped me, and I had to abort the child, and he raped me, and me too." And you know, it's like, I don't know, is it? Well, I don't know what's that. Don't tell me anything. No, it's like, you know, it's ridiculous. But where were you again, 15, 20 years ago, whatever? You know why I didn't speak up then? Then it was nice because he was paying you huge, and you kept your mouth shut and didn't complain that time. You know, having affairs, and you know, you were benefiting. Now he's dead. You know, now you're looking for some other attention. It's so low. It's so disgusting. It's so despicable. Really, it's so horrible. So even those people, you know, they had all the sex life, you know, 24 hours, 24 hours, whatever, you know, or whatever they could. But what was their happiness? They have so much wealth and everything. If anyone was frustrated, that's them. Oh, that's like another thing that we can say. Then, if the sex life is the goal of life, then prostitutes would be the most happiest people in the world, right? But are they? Is that the goal of life, just to have a sex life every 5 minutes or something? So disgusting. So disgusting. Yeah. So that, you know, so what materialists are proposing, saying that yes, you have to have absolute fullness of material, actually what? Not material happiness, but material frustration. Actually, that's what they're saying. Why that would be the case? It's not necessarily the case. Why would that be the case? Why do I have to be such a fool to have such a negative experience in its fullness and then come to Krishna consciousness? That's what it suggests. Why that would be the case? It means I really have no brain then. And I have to experience something that is negative to then start considering something that is positive. Why I shouldn't start, as soon as I come in touch with something positive, why I wouldn't start considering something positive from the onset, from the beginning? That points to some brain. That points to some consciousness. Know that now, okay, I came to Krishna, I came in touch with Krishna consciousness, but because, you know, some materialists are saying you didn't fully experience material life, now I have to go on a crusade, I have to go on a tour of exploring and trying to experience my life to the fullness, then I will consider practicing spiritual life. Is this making any sense? That's madness. Because there's no end to, you know, this material exploration. There is no end to material frustration. And when will you, you know, where is the line to say, okay, now I had enough? Because once you get entangled, there is no way out. That's another thing. Once one gets entangled in material activities, once one gets entangled in material affairs, there's no way out. There's no way out. It's not easy then to pull and say, okay, Haribol, I'm going. Now I'm, you know, becoming a sadhu or something. It doesn't work like that. It's not easy. One has to pay the price for all the sinfulness one has committed, you know, and one has become entangled with. It's not easy to come out. So it's not easy to become a devotee. It's not easy just to, okay. So if they say it's so easy, you have materially become frustrated, and now in your attempts to enjoy the pleasures of the world, you know, so now, okay, now you have become devotee. So you can say, okay, why don't you become a devotee? Why don't you become a devotee? And then they will say, yes, we are enjoying material pleasures. Okay, continue, good luck. Continue. We are enjoying transcendental pleasure. I remember my Guru Maharaj used to say that when they started with this movement, chanting on the streets in the late 60s, the previous century, you know, and then, you know, everybody was shocked to see devotees, you know, dressed like this and shaved and everything. Say, who are you? Who are you people? What are you doing? You know, it's like, it's like even today you go out. I mean, who wears the dress like this? Even in India, it's like shocking to see someone, you know, like this. No, it's become, you know, you just imagine you come to office, you know, Haribol, you sit, work on it. Yeah, I said, so what's going on? You know, it's like. So people were asking, hey, what are you doing? And then devotees would experience, you know, they would say, we are experiencing the absolute truth. What a philosophical answer. We are chanting and dancing on the street, and people say, what are you doing? We are experiencing the absolute truth. This is absolute truth. It just blows one's mind. Well, it's like, what's going on? You're experiencing, yes, but what are you experiencing? You're experiencing relative misery. And actually, better to say absolute misery. You're experiencing absolute misery, but you're just trying to convince yourself that you're being happy. I know I had to convince myself when I go out for, to some clubs and night, whatever, all the nonsense things, whatever I did. I had to convince myself, yes, it's very good. But I wasn't happy. I know I wasn't happy. And I had to maybe drink something and smoke something, or I don't know what to do, just to convince myself, yes, I'm being happy. Actually, I never liked any of these things. I just did a few times. It's just disgusting. You have to convince yourself, yes, or I had to really listen to some crazy music to, roll it in my mind that I really would come out and just be kind of energized in such a stupid, tamasic, atmosphere, miserable atmosphere, So you have to really convince yourself, or somebody else has to convince you. Yes, it's good. But what is it? There's nothing. There's no substance. There's no substance. So this kind of argument is just, people become devotees because they have become frustrated. Yeah, okay, we may say, yes, we became frustrated. At least we came to some sanity point. Yeah, because there's no hope of, fulfilling whatever you want to fulfill. Even if you have the means. Even if you have the means. Yeah. You go to Bollywood. They have all the means. There's prostitution going on rampantly. They have all the means. They have all the facilities. They have all wealth, whatever they have. Yeah. You just try to somehow pin into their lives and see what is going on. It's just suffering. As that little intoxicating fame, it's worth of all of that? I don't think so. And how many of them are famous? How many? Very few. Very few. And how many are attempting? It's just where is this fellow from yesterday? I'm going to forget this. Anyway, could ask him next time. It's like, how many people attempt to act, I mean, we had so many actors earlier. Anybody here acting? Nobody? Huh? Yes? Huh? Come here, come in front. You're putting the camera on. Come here, sit now. I'm joking. Just come here. No, come here in front, Baba. Take this chair. Now we are hearing from the first-hand experience. Put it here next to me. Okay. What are you doing?
I'm only done a few plays.
Few plays. Yeah. What kind of plays?
Mythological. Here only with Pankaj.
I didn't answer. That's not what I'm asking. Okay, sit there. Anyway, so I'm not talking about dramas. I'm talking about real acting up there in Bollywood, But I know there are how many thousands and thousands of people attempting, to get some role, And even the worst is, okay, maybe you get 1 or 2 movies, maybe you get some prominent roles or something, but then after that you don't. How miserable the life is then. You get intoxicating shot and then no more. Wow. I had so many such kind of conversations here. And hardly any of these people are studying their spiritual practice. Practically no one. Practically no one. Okay, any questions on this? Because otherwise we can keep on talking just for sin. Now all our time is gone just to try to explain this one. But any questions on this? Is that clear or anything else to be discussed? Huh? So, okay, we go to next one. Next one. Okay, so okay, we go to the next one. Yeah. I mean, anyway, I can come back to this one because it's just such a ridiculous, proposal. Such a ridiculous proposal. You know, you really have to become a fool to start becoming a sane, you know, conscious being. You know, what kind of idea is this? And that's the idea for the fools. like like what? You have to become a first prime minister, then you give up, and then yes, then you'll be revered as a big renunciant saint. It's like really ridiculous. Okay, so 44. That's also the same verse here. It says, such hedonists further insist that one can never come to dislike sex pleasure because it is a biological necessity. So what about this? Arigor? Huh? What? We won't be going. Yeah, we won't be going, but still, it doesn't mean that you dislike that. Answer properly now. We won't be going. Yes, we know it's not something that we should be going, but you know, they would say that they insist that, you know, you are kind of restraining yourself forcefully. Don't laugh. I'll call you back on it. We are restraining ourselves forcefully, but we actually subtly enjoy every thought of it. So what do you have to say on this? Harigor, I have your, I think I picked up yours. Yeah, correct. Okay, he said. What? One is Krishna conscious can work, and he wrote it in such a way that nobody can read, you know, on purpose now. With six pleasure, which really see, he wrote in such a way I can't read what he wrote. Yeah, read it out. One is Krishna conscious can work with, what is this?
And one is Krishna conscious can work with greater vigor without seeing pleasure, which he avoids.
Read it loud. No.
One is Krishna conscious can work with greater vigor without pleasure, which he avoids.
Okay, I guess I'm getting what it's supposed to mean. Okay. Yeah. So one who is Krishna conscious, then he won't be attracted to the sex pleasure. So to which extent, what is Krishna conscious? To that extent, he won't be interested in sex life, because the sex life is the binding principle of this material existence. If one can get rid of sex life, Srila Prabhupada said 75% chances of going back to Godhead. More. Liberation. Because if one is entangled in a sex life, then what does that mean? That means I'm thinking that I'm this body, and this body is giving me pleasure, and some other body is giving me pleasure. And then how can one, you know, come to the understanding that one is spirit soul? It's complete contradiction. You know, and then just imagine their lives when they come to their 50s, 60s, and their bodies start falling apart, and they still have such kind of strong impulse, urges of sexual enjoyment, but they can't enjoy, you know, and their body, it's like all wrinkled and whatever. And they still think of how to enjoy the sex life, how to enjoy the sex life, you know. And they have this, anyway, I'm not gonna get now into detail, but it's like, it's so abominable, it's so abominable. So then what? That is the solution? That is the solution, you know? Just thinking about the sex life, whole life, like this. Any comments on this? Any other answers on this? That we just can't avoid sex life? That we just have to always be indulging in it? So what would we say? Huh? Any comments on this? Because otherwise you won't be healthy. They will say like this. Otherwise you can't be sane. It's just completely contrary what we are saying. No? Yeah, but you tell that to them. They say, no, you have to keep the pipe open. Okay, 45. What is the test in spiritual realization? That should be easy now. Same verse, 521. Avoiding sex pleasure. Here it says detachment from sex pleasure. Yeah, that is the test in spiritual realization. What do you have there written? Anybody wrote something? Yeah, 45. As I said, 45. Anybody wrote anything there? 45 is not there. Tapan, what do you have? Detachment from sex life. That's how you know how one is spiritually advanced. Because it makes no sense. If I'm attached to sex life, but then what does it mean practicing spiritual life? It's a farce. It's a contradiction. So if how one is advanced in spiritual life, it points to how much is detached from the material involvement. And what is the greatest of those? It's a sex pleasure. It's a sex life, and the whole world, as we said, revolves around it. So if I'm looking for, if I'm supposedly a spiritual man and I'm just interested in girls, what does this have to do with spiritual life? All the animals are doing the same. Then in which way am I different? Huh? Okay, let's advance to the next one. 46, we are still on the same text. 5th chapter, text 21. It says here, what kind of pleasure do liberated souls enjoy? So what kind of pleasure? So what is it that actually gives us something better than the sex life? People, that sex life is everything for them. They'll undergo anything. They'll tolerate anything just to have a sex life. Oops. See? It's like, huh? No, it's gonna fall down. No, now it's stable. Stable table. Let's see. People are able to tolerate anything. They can tolerate their wives, or wives can tolerate the husbands, or whatever it is, as long as they can have a sex life. Of course, there is a limit until they find somebody else. But it's all revolving around sex life. What a disgusting lives. And so selfish. And how many times the families become ruined. No control of their senses, no control of mind, no concern for anybody else. This is what the lust is. It's horrible. It's very, very extremely selfish. Extremely destructive. So then, what kind of pleasure do spiritual, liberated souls enjoy? What kind of pleasure? So that they don't get involved in such a disgusting rubbing of the skin. So what pleasure do they get that they don't have to do this? What's the answer? Loving service. Is this mentioned in the verse, text 21? Huh? Yeah. Tapan.
Spiritual pleasure by concentrating on the Supreme.
Spiritual pleasure by concentrating on the Supreme. But what does this have to do with the text? Look at the text. Well,
Reading.
Rahul, bolo. You don't know. Oh, see. Where's your test? You didn't write the test. See? Okay, what is it written there? What's it written there? What answer it's given? 46. 46. It's not here. Really? Huh? Okay, take few of those. Although we have 5 minutes left, but there are plenty, That's why I said take double, triple, just check it out. Main thing is just to have some reference at least. Okay, here it says, by the time you search and find some answers that some of those fellows have given, here it says, such a liberated person is not attracted to sense pleasure, but it's always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. So what is the pleasure liberated souls get? They enjoy the pleasure from within. From within. Happiness from within. Why? What does that mean, from within? Because they concentrate on the Supreme. Because Krishna is with them. They have a relationship with Krishna. So you don't have to look for any external rubbing of the genitals or whatever. No, you have pleasure of a relationship with Krishna from within. Yeah. So here in the purport it says, Yamunacharya, great devotee in Krishna consciousness. He said, this is very powerful purport. Since I've been engaged in the transcendent loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at a thought. And my lips curl with this taste. So great devotees of the Lord, because they have tasted the pleasure of spiritual life, whenever they think of sex life, it's so abundant, they spit at it. There was one devotee, the early days, he said to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, whenever I spit, I think of sex life. So that is the condition of a conditioning living being. But those who have experienced transcendence, they have such a taste for spiritual practice that, really sex life is so disgusting. And they don't go together. You can't mix those. They don't go together. They're incompatible. Incompatible. So that is the test. That is the test in spiritual realization. Srila Prabhupada explains here. They go ill together. So as much as one is attracted to sex life, that one can understand that I don't have so much realization or taste for spiritual life. Okay, let's do one more, 47, and hopefully the next time we'll complete this text. But anyway, I hope you are learning something. Main thing is this learning, because nobody was, preparing for this test. Nobody was reading. Nobody was even hardly anyone attending. So it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But at least through this revision, we can get some glimpses of what Krishna is speaking here in Bhagavad Gita. It's a very, very, very important chapter. Of course, all the chapters are important, but this is also giving us the insights of how to act in Krishna consciousness, what the position of one should be. And now it's the very, very powerful verse. Very powerful verse coming. And there are quite a number of questions. But anyway, we'll deal with those questions also next time. But let's start at least now. It says here, this is 48th question. So this is Bhagavad Gita 5:22. Now we are on the text 22. It says here, why does a liberated soul not agree to enjoy sense pleasure? So why a liberated soul? That means somebody who's practicing spiritual life. Why he's not agreeing to enjoy the sensual pleasures? Why he's not, if somebody, let's say somebody proposes to you and some girl comes and say, okay, let's spend some time together. And if you're a liberated soul, you would say no. Or you just wouldn't say anything. You would just disappear from there. You don't even have to say anything. But if somebody is not a liberated soul, that's a different thing. But if why he wouldn't be interested in material sense pleasures? Why? What is it saying here? Should I read? What is it written there? 48 question. Any answers? Okay, but it's temporary. Liberated soul is not interested in something that's temporary. Okay, fine. That it's from the purport. Anything else? Any other answer? Take another one. You have so many now. Somebody should have answered this. 48. This is wrong.
Because sense pleasures is a source of misery. That is the reason liberated soul does not agree.
Yes, that's true. The sense pleasure is a source of it leads to misery. That's what the verse says here. It says that an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to the contact with the material senses. So if we indulge our senses with material sense objects, it's just going to bring us trouble. It's just going to bring us misery. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end. And so the wise man does not delight in them. Okay, so then we'll stop here. Any final questions or comments? 1 minute left. Okay, please read this 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Find some time, not just that we discuss it now on the Thursdays only. And so then we can complete it next time. And then from next to next time, most likely we'll just we'll just continue with the 6th chapter. Okay, thank you all very much for being attentive. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Gaur. Hari Gaur.
Thank you, Prabhuji.